today's lesson, we'll be going over lesson 7-5, and that's talking about decimals and fractions and how they relate to each other. So, like this is an introduction, write this in your notebook. You can use what you know about the word form of numbers to write decimals as fractions. So the word form of 0.6 is 0 and 6/10, or just 6/10. I want you to also copy down this number line or this chart in your notebook. Go ahead and put the 6/10 on that chart so you have a visual representation of what it's supposed to look like. You also write the numbers beside it so you know what you're talking about as well. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, is how to convert fractions into decimals and decimals into fractions and what they actually mean. Alright, so for the hundredths, the word form of 0.24 is 0 and 24 hundredths, or just 24 hundredths. So again, you would copy this one down as well, so that way you have more than one example. Go ahead and pause the video so you have time to make it. Alright. Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, surrounding the Kennedy Space Center, is a sanctuary for green turtles, bald eagles, Florida panthers, and hundreds of other animals. About 625 thousandths of the total area of the refuge is water. What fraction of the total area is water? So what you're going to do here is you're going to turn 0.625 into a fraction. So this is what it's going to look like. You will have 625 thousandths. Alright? And when you turn it into a fraction, you want to check it and see if it can be reduced. So you have to look at it and find a common factor for both numbers. Well, I can see, just looking at it, that there's 625 and 1,000. Both of them end in numbers that are divisible by 5. So I know that 5 can go into it. So I'm going to try 25 and see what I get. 625 by 25. So let's do that. 25 going to 62. 2 times is just 50. Which will give you a remainder of 12. 25 going to 125 5 times. So my numerator will be 25. And then 1,000 divided by 25 would be 40. Again, 25 and 40 are still both divisible by 5, so I can take another 5 out. 25 divided by 5 would be 5, and then 40 divided by 5 would be 8. So right now I have 5 eighths, which is the same thing I have down here. 5 and 8 do not have a common factor because 5 is a prime number, so it cannot be reduced anymore. So this is what it's going to look like today as we work. It's going to be a little bit challenging, so you're going to really have to focus and try to find those common factors before you move on. We already did this. Alright, work this out in your notebook and see if you can figure out what the correct answer would be. Virginia has a land and water area that is about 0.011 of the total area of the United States. What fraction of the total area of the United States does Virginia make up? So you're going to have to think, how would I write 0.011? What place value is that? And then you're going to have to turn that into a fraction. And then you're going to figure out, can you reduce the fraction? So work on that with your neighbor if you need to. When you figure out your answer, make sure you show your work or show it on your paper and let a teacher know and we'll look at it. Alright, just like I said last time, guys, whenever you see the words, copy this in your notebook. It's not a question. Just do it, please. Alright, so let's keep going. The fraction bar means you need to divide. So anytime you have a fraction, you're actually looking at a division problem. The top number is going to be your dividend. That means it's going to be the number that you're dividing into pieces. Whereas your bottom number is your divisor. So you can see over here on the right side of the screen that 3 is inside your fraction and 4 is on the, your table and 4 is on the outside. You don't just divide the biggest number, guys. And I know that they told you this a lot in elementary school, but that's not the case. It depends on what order the number is in. So it's important for you to understand the overall math of it and not just looking for numbers. All right? You have to know which number is going to be the dividend and which one's going to be the divisor. Second bullet point. Add a decimal to the dividend place, to the dividend. So since we are doing 4 into 3, you need to put a decimal point after your 3. They have it right here. Okay? And what I usually like to do whenever I'm doing this is I just go ahead and bring my decimal point up as well. So that way I don't get confused. Okay? And the third bullet point, place zeros after the decimal to see if the answer terminates or repeats. So whenever you have a whole number, it's understood that behind that whole number is going to be a 0. That's not always 100% true, but that's just what is understood. This is what we do. So we don't really know for sure if it's going to be a 0 behind the 3, but that's what we're going to use. 0, 0. Okay? Make sure that you don't forget about the decimal because this fraction right here, there is no 300 on it. Okay? So make sure that you're putting that decimal in so you don't have a weird number. So you're going to use long division the same way that you usually would, and then you're going to figure out how to solve it. 4 is a single digit number, so get your first digit. 3 is too small, so see 4 can go into 30. Yes, it can go into 30 7 times. So don't forget your little 0. 7 times 4 will give you 28. Then you're going to subtract 30 minus 28 with a remainder of 2. And then you're going to bring down your 5. I'm sorry, your 0. I don't know why I said 5. 4 can go to 25 times. Oh, I see why now. Okay. 4 times 5 is 20, and you will have a remainder of 0. So whenever you're doing long division, if you have a decimal place, you can keep going and going and going until you get to 0. Sometimes you might not get to 0, but you'll get to a number that's very close to 0. And that's what you're trying to do here. Is get as close as possible to 0 before you decide this is the end. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Make sure you copy all this stuff down, guys. Alright, write this out in your notebook and figure out what's the answer for each one. Please show one of the teachers your answer and we will let you know if it's true or not. Here's the answer for 1/2. So if you're to divide each fraction by the numerator, again, do not just say, okay, 2 is the biggest, that's what we're going to divide. That's not how it works. You have to figure out which one is on top, which one is going to be here, and which one is going to be here. Okay? There really is no guesswork, guys. Alright, so again, don't forget your decimal. Go ahead and type before you divide. Again, I like to bring mine up so that way I don't forget. So 2 will not quite go into 1 evenly, but it can go into 10. This is how it works. So it'll go into 1 0 times, but it'll go into 10 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10, with the remainder of 0. This right here, guys, will be your answer. Okay, I saw a lot of confusion about that when you have no remainder. If you have no remainder, it's not going to be a mixed number. Right? Ooh, my head is. Okay. Here's the answer for B and C. Okay? Use division to write 3/5 as a decimal. Do this one on your own, please, and then call a teacher by and we'll look at it so to let you know if it's right, okay? Alright, so some fractions have decimal forms that repeat without end. You can use rounding to approximate these decimals. Write 2/3 as a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. So, step 1, we write the fraction as division. So we have 2/3. We know that the numerator is going to be the dividend and the denominator is going to be divisor. So you need to make sure that you write that accordingly. Okay? Step 2, place a decimal point in the dividend and write a 0 in the tenths place as a placeholder. So, here's your step 2. Alright, in step 3, begin dividing. You know how to do long division. We've been doing it for like 3 or 4 years now. 3 can't quite go into 2, but it can go into 20. That'd be 6 times, it would be 18. You have a remainder of 2, and so you can keep on going. Here's the continuation of that. You bring another 0, and another 0 after your 20, so you end up having 20 again. Okay? So you're going to end up keep continuously going on and on and on because it's going to keep going 20, 20, 20, 20, over and over and over again. So what you are going to do in your answer, it says to, where's it say? You can use rounding to approximate the decimal, right? 2/3 of decimal rounding to the nearest hundredth. So we know that it goes ones, tens, hundredths. This place right here is always going to be the ones place. And so it goes like this, tens, hundredths. Okay? When you round to the nearest hundredths, that means you're going to round that number up or down, depending on what since it's 6 is more than halfway to 7, so might as well round up to 6/7. Okay? So your answer should be 0 and 67 hundredths. That's how the rounding whole thing works. So make sure, guys, that you remember how that works and you're paying attention to what the question is asking and not just looking at the numbers, guys. You have to read it. Alright, go ahead and copy this one down in your notebook. It's only 2 sentences, so it's no big deal. Lake Superior contains about 1/9 of the world's freshwater supply. Right? 1/9 is a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay? Again, look at your keywords here. It tells you what to do. Oops. Nearest hundredth. Okay? Work this one out on your own, and the teacher will come by and check it for you, okay? Alright, here's how to work that problem out. Alright, so on paper it's going to look like this. 0.1111. And it's going to keep going on forever and ever. So you're going to need to find your hundredths place, which is going to be 10 hundredths, which is right here. Look at your following number. If it's 5 or greater, you're going to round this number up. If it's 4 or smaller, you're going to keep it the same. So since your following number is a 1, is that 5 or greater? No, it's 1. So you know that it's going to stay 1. Alright, so I want you to make sure your work is complete, and then you should check it. I hope you have